minutes to 9. One aspect of the Lucy Letby case that you may not be aware of is the opprobrium, abuse and worse delivered to those whose evidence helped to convict her. And one of those is Dr. Dewi Evans, consultant paediatrician and chief medical witness in the case of Lucy Letby. And Dr. Evans joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Could you just tell us at what point your involvement in the case started causing you problems on social media and elsewhere?
Well, I pay very little attention to social media, but I received an email from a journalist source on the 27th of June, so recently, saying that several people had complained about me to the GMC, to the General Medical Council. And this was clearly an awful shock, but not particularly surprising in one way, because back in the day when those of us who were giving evidence in cases of child abuse, it was not uncommon for the suspects, for the abusers, to intimidate the doctors by complaining to the GMC about them. And so this was something that occurred quite a lot in the 80s and 90s, but for it to occur now is rather surprising.
And the essential point is that there are lots of people online and in the real world who do not accept that Lucy Letby has been found guilty and don't really want to come to terms with the fact that in a court of law, someone has been found guilty of killing babies.
Well, that's right. It's such a shocking thing to come to terms with. And of course, one of the ways of dealing with shocking news is to go into denial and shoot the messenger. And this is what's happened in this particular case, I'm afraid. And it's very, very difficult to come to terms with the fact that these murders, these injuries were not caused by any old individual, but by a young white English nurse from a respectable background. So how on earth can you stomach that? And one of the ways of dealing with it, of course, is to deny that it happened.
And what's your assessment of how that her background, her appearance, her name, her disposition affected how some people treat her guilt?
Well, you see, her crime was caused hiding in plain sight. She could not have caused these deaths apart from the fact that she was working as a nurse in a neonatal unit. And of course, to get away with it for such a long time, apart from the incompetence of the general managers who refused to listen to the concerns of the doctors, she had to fit in. In other words, if there were peculiar things about her behaviour, if she fell out with her colleagues, if there was lots of absenteeism, if she had a problem of drug or substance abuse or alcohol abuse, then of course people would have spotted her as someone not suitable for working in a neonatal unit. But because she superficially appeared a perfectly normal person, and this is essential for anyone who commits a crime hiding in plain sight. Happened with Harold Shipman, of course, happened with Jimmy Savile, who was able to cavort with royalty and everyone else and got away with it. Therefore, it's crucial to that getting away with it that they are actually appear to be, in quotes, normal.
And it's worth saying, Dr. Evans, that many paediatricians of your generation have been traduced in public and often privately as well because of their role in cases such as this. Just for the benefit of our listeners, and mindful though I am that it's breakfast time, can you just give us a sense of some of the abuse and some of the threats that you may have received? You mentioned a letter was written to the GMC, but how else did the Lucy Letby is Innocent Brigade come to let you know their displeasure?
Well, I avoid social media, and therefore I avoid all the hysterics and the emotive language that people use. But going back to previous cases, I was involved with one dreadful abusive case in Swansea, where the abuse lasted over a decade or so. Over 20 years ago, I installed CCTV in my home in Swansea, which I still have here, because of these concerns. Therefore, it's something that one has to deal with it. It's a crime, of course, to harass doctors and others who are giving evidence in good faith. And I think rather than challenge my opinion as to why I reached this, was able to help convict Lucy Letby, I think those people should be asking questions of those individuals who were involved with the Letby inquiry before me and why they failed to reach the diagnosis that my colleagues and I managed to do.
Dr. Evans, thank you very much indeed for joining us.